All men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights.
Life, liberty, and the
If liberty means anything at all, it means the right to tell people what they do not want to hear.
Make America great again.
The Big Nerd.
Good morning. Welcome to the Big Mig Show. I'm your host, Lance Miliaccio, with my co-host, the infamous and famous George Ballantine. Tip of the spear, edge of the knife. Of course, if liberty means anything at all, it means the right to tell people what they do not want to hear. This show does not blindly follow anyone. What we want is what's best for the country, what's great for the American people. We want what we're guaranteed by the Constitution. We're conservative, belief individuals. But at the end of the day, sometimes the blind following of people just because they're in a position of power or just because you think something is going on that's not, I just don't agree with that. George, I know you got a little agitated this morning. Good morning, brother. How are you? I just wanted to bring that up for you.
Good morning. Yeah, I mean, people are fucking nuts. They're like, look, I didn't think Darlene Graham was a good choice for South Carolina. She doesn't have a lot of experience, whatever. But that's my decision, my choice. Does that mean I go against Trump? No, it does not. So anybody that has their own, when you want to use their own critical thinking, their own opinions, I'm watching social media. They're chastising people. You're crazy. I'll say this, and I don't know about other people. I know Lance is not either. We're no yes men. I'm gonna never have been and never will be. I will voice my opinion and my concern. Somebody said, "Oh, Lindsey Graham always went with Trump's agenda." That's bullshit. Go do your fucking history and facts, because I pulled it up like 5 minutes ago. Not true. I mean, it's crazy. Here, Darlene, just like her brother, will vote for President Trump's MAGA agenda. No, well, Lindsey Graham didn't always do that. So
Lindsey Graham did what was good for Lindsey Graham. He didn't even do what was always good for the North Carolina people. He was a warmonger. I wasn't a fan of Lindsey Graham. And let me say this. I'm looking for common sense. Common sense tells me that, Lindsey Graham's sister, who I never heard of until all of a sudden they said they were going to go ahead and give her the endorsement. Never heard of her. She's not in politics. She doesn't have any political background. I'm not saying you have to have political background to be a congressional member. But I think that choice might not have been the best choice. There was another person in North Carolina, you know who it is, that was clearly a very conservative, very pro, U.S., very pro-American people agenda. She's a wild card to me, and I don't think we need wild cards right now. But okay, look, so be it. She's won the primary, and here it is. But don't expect on this show. Let me say this: we want critical thinkers. We want common sense thinkers. We want people that love this country and that want the best things for themselves and their family and for the country itself. It's God, country, family. At the end of the day, that's what our show's about. And we're always going to voice our opinion. And I'm going to tell you this. There's many things that Donald Trump has done very well during this term. But there are many things he hasn't done jack shit on. Okay? I don't hear anything about balancing the budget. I don't hear anything about draining the swamp. I mean, I hear talk about it, but talk's cheap. I'm looking for action, baby. I'm looking for arrests. We still don't have an election system that isn't completely corrupted. I haven't seen arrests there. The dirty 51+8, the Russian collusion hoax, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, Ray, Brennan, Clapper, Comey. I mean, these guys are still getting regular oxygen, man. I don't see it. And I'm going to call a spade a spade. And, that's one thing on this show. We're going to bring you the truth. Doesn't mean we don't expect you guys ever to always agree with us, because that's not what we want. We're not looking for a bunch of yes people in the audience. We want to hear your critical thinking and what you think. I mean, this term, Donald Trump's been in office for a long time now, okay? As far as I'm concerned, more than half his term is over, because, the last year he'll be promoting whoever they want to get elected. Last year's never been an effective year for presidents. So is it going to be different? I have no idea. All I know is that government gangsters are still in Washington, D.C. Our DOJ doesn't appear to be arresting anybody that I thought was going to be on the list. And I don't see Donald Trump pushing for that either, you know? And I'll be honest with you, I don't like the way he's pussyfooting around in Iran. Stop dicking around, man. They threatened your kid. What are you waiting for, bro? I mean, they're lucky. I've said it many times. I'll say it again. People should be very thankful that I'm not president of the United States. They'd probably call me a dictator, but I promise you this, I would deliver this country back to the American people. I would deliver it in the manner that it needs to be delivered. And I would take us back to the constitutional republic. And anybody that stood in my way, I would crush them like an insect. So probably just as well that I'm not in a position of political power, because I wouldn't play nice. The dirty 51+8, those suckers would all be sitting in jail. Hillary Clinton, she'd be in jail. I don't care what people think. I wouldn't care what the judiciary thought. I would do what was necessary to fix this country, all enemies, foreign and domestic. And we got plenty of domestic enemies in this country. So critical thinking, common sense. When you post on social media, maybe instead of thinking about clicks, maybe post the truth. Ask yourself, has this administration delivered everything they told us they would deliver? And my answer would be absolutely a resounding no. But you guys get the information. That's what this show is about. It's about truth. We provide the information, the facts, the sauce, the evidence, the receipts, whatever you want to call it. And then you guys decide. We just aren't mainstream media. We're not going to lie to you. And we're not going to go along with people just because somehow they were supposed to be the good guys. Again, there's many things Donald Trump has done right, but there are many things he has not delivered on. And I'm expecting delivery of those promises because, let me tell you something. My word is my bond. If I give me my word about this show, we're going to deliver to you what we expect. And that's hopefully why you guys are here. That's why our show is one of the fastest growing shows on Rumble. We get a lot of support over there because of that. And it's because of you guys. Hopefully you appreciate that position that we take. No blind following here. George, anything else you want to add to that?
Nah, not even worth it. Fuck these people.
All right. If you love the show, it's an easy drill. Hit the follow button. If you're new to the show, don't be shy. Get in the chat. Get some comments. Put them in there. Take the live link. Share it during the show. And you can always take our content. We're never going to stop you. We want you to share it on your social media. If you think that we said something that's important and more people need to hear it, take the short form. You can divvy up our show any way you want. Of course, don't forget to follow us on YouTube and Locals also. If you're on there, even if you watch us here on Rumble, we need those follows. Same thing with all major podcast platforms. And if you'd like to sponsor the show, we got a new sponsor coming on, Oasis. And I'm going to tell you more details about it. That'll be on the first. Great company making incredible health moves. And, we've got plenty of people on their staff that have decades. And they have the sauce. They can prove that they are actually changing people's lives with what they're doing. So we're excited about them. They're going to be here. We've got an interview coming up. The doctor is going to be out of the country. The first interview we have, who is their head guy, he's going to be out of the country till the 15th. So we're a little slower on the intro view for our new sponsor, but it doesn't matter. It's going to be a great interview. We're excited to have him on. Of course, Genesis Gold Group. We love our gold and silver. This is the 62.2 gram prepper bar. That's right, over 2 ounces of gold or silver, easily broken down into your choice of 3 separate, distinct denominations. As you can see, as I tilt the bar, there's a small, a medium, and a large. And the great part about these perforations, you can snap a small piece off to make a payment. Of course, it fits a multitude of needs, whether it be for asset protection from inflation, economic turmoil, or in the case of the prepper bar, it's a very unique utility for barter and trade. It's a perfect gift for all those precious metal lovers out there, but you don't have to be a precious metal lover. One of our listeners and subscribers, a very nice lady from Georgia, she bought a handful of them yesterday.
Bought 5.
She bought 5 to do
while I was on the phone with her.
Yeah. And you've heard us talk about gifts. I suck. Sometimes I forget people's special days. Having a couple of prepper bars on hand and a bag of bows, you're never going to be caught blindsided where somebody shows up with a Christmas gift.
Sleep, Tiny.
You'll have a prepper bar ready to hand over and you'll be thinking, wow, what an amazing gift they just gave me, a prepper bar. Exclusively mined and minted in the great US of A. Yes, they come with an assay report. No, you're not going to find any counterfeit gold or silver coming out of Genesis Gold Group. They've got them in stock. They just got a big delivery, so you're not going to have to wait this time. If anybody ever had to wait in the past, they've got a full battery of prepper bars in gold and silver. They fit neatly in your wallet, gun safe, safety deposit, you name it. Have it just in case you need it, because in case you need it and you don't have it, you're going to want some. So head over to thebigmigbar.com. That's right, thebigmigbar.com. You're going to use these promo codes. Listen closely. Big Mig Silver is going to get you 10% off on the silver, and Big Mig Gold is going to get you 5% off on the gold. 10% off on the silver, 5% off on the gold. GenesisGoldGroup.com, 800-200-4653.
No. Hold on, bro. No. We want them to go to the BigMinkBar.com.
I said that, BigMinkBar.com.
You said GenesisGoldGroup.com.
I was just saying Genesis Gold Group for the phone number.
Said,
did I say .com?
Yeah,
My bad.
it's not. It's the
Okay,
it's the
so
BigMinkGold.com. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. And you're going to head over, and if you want to call them, you can do 800-200-4653, 800-200-GOLD is what that is. And also, if you want to do IRA, 401k, you can ask for those in charge. You got Brad Garrett, Keith Height currently in charge over there. And you can get a hold of them, and you can do large bullion purchases. You can talk about your retirement. Or if you just want to buy some gold and silver, they'll help you depending on the size of the order. You can get discounts on the rest. Let them know that the Big Mig team sent you over there. That's right, the BigMigBar.com.
Break me off a piece of that prepper bar.
Yep.
All right.
Be confusing.
So, yeah.
You want to do the set the mood first before you get into it?
I think we should. I saw this and I thought it was interesting. And it's an interesting clip somebody put together, but so true in so many ways. Before we jump into this big hacker story, I wanted to share this because, you got to be really aware of what you put in your body, what you put in your mouth, what you put on your body. There are a lot of concerns out there. And this seems as a very plain way to tell you, hey, be careful out there.
Oh, another day of the Matrix. Let's go freshen up, sweetheart.
Starting off the morning with some fluoride for our toothpaste,
Some aluminum for our deodorant,
phthalates and endocrine disruptors for my perfume,
and the same ingredients in automotive grease are in my hair gel.
babe, I got our favorite for breakfast, silly putty chicken.
Silly putty, isn't this just Chick-fil-A?
Well, one of the 55 ingredients in here is the same as silly putty.
Silly putty ingredient in the chicken? That's gotta be toxic. Are they trying to poison us?
Babe, snap back into the Matrix.
Silly putty chicken! Bill Gates must be proud, babe. All right, it's time to shackle into the corporate matrix for the day.
Gotta make sure the router's pointed directly at us.
Perfect, sweetheart. I'll make sure the laptop's directly on my ball sack.
And I'll have the AirPods radiating directly through my brain.
Perfect. Maximum EMF exposure for the next 8 hours, sweetheart.
And don't forget our energy sludge.
My favorite. Cheers to the Matrix.
Yeah. It's funny, but at the same time, it's not too funny. Of course, this show, we're concerned about your health. And if we're concerned about you and your families. We're concerned about the country. That's what it's all about. We go after both sides of the aisle. This isn't, we don't just play it one way. That political D or R doesn't mean anything to us because at the end of the day, yeah, it's a uniparty in DC. They don't want to pass the Clarity Act. They don't want to give you real world assets with higher interest rates, right? They don't want you to have crypto because boy, they're worried they can't track it because what do they want to do? They want to use your tax money in any way they want. They want to waste it at USAID. They want to have 14 magic money computers. They want to steal, grift, and lie. And they do it very well. No SAVE Act, don't need voter ID. Why? Because they'd rather have an ability to cheat. Well, they're not doing a lot of things right. It looks like they really haven't protected the network or our sensitive national security interests, right? Our national security data, because once again, Chinese hackers infiltrate U.S. government networks across the nation. It looks like in an affidavit, the U.S. DOJ says Chinese hackers targeted and breached the DOJ, the DOE, NIH, HHS, NASA, the Federal Reserve, and the Senate. Of course, they sold that access after they hacked it to Beijing spy agencies and military. So they just had a free-for-all. So they seized 3 domains Wednesday, shutting down 2 Chinese hacking platforms. Of course, there's many others. And these were used against the American government networks and critical infrastructure. George, this sounds like great news. More access for the Chinese as they hack our sensitive intelligence network.
Yeah, this is not good because we don't really know the full extent of what information do they have. I mean, does the Senate, they hacked the Senate? I mean, Jesus Christ. They said they took down the domains of their Chinese hacking sites. All right, so you don't think they have other domains or they can just open up a new one? Big deal. Whoop-de-doo.
Yeah.
Whoop-de-doo. Are we holding China accountable right now? Or what are we doing to China as a whole, the whole country?
I would like to buy the Senate data if it's their emails, because I like to see what these bastards are talking about behind the scenes. So if the Nanjing Jinzhuai network technology company wants to get a hold of us and give us some of the Senate data, I'd like to see the emails from Nancy Pelosi, Adam Schiff, and many others.
Adam Schiff's been awfully quiet, right, lately, by the way?
Yeah, Shifty Schiff hasn't had much to say.
Been awfully quiet there.
Well, he might be. Maybe he's committing some more mortgage fraud. Maybe he's buying a new house. Who knows? He's busy with mortgage fraud. Who knows? Payments from the Chinese Ministry of State Security to the firm indicated conducted cyber operations for the government. So they've linked the path of money. I guess that they use an abbreviation here. So the QTFY members are former People's Liberation Army personnel who leverage those relationships to win contracts supporting offensive operations. I mean, the number of victims here pretty horrible. When you hear the energy department, you think, well, that's not that big a deal, but it is when you really know that also has to do with our nuclear materials. There's a lot of companies, a lot of groups that got hit, and I guess this Q-scan carried a library of more than 200 different hacking exploits and processed over 2 million scanning tasks in a single day in 2024. And after exploiting a checkpoint vulnerability days after its public disclosure, QTFY stole server configuration files and user account details from more than, and listen closely, guys, 300 U.S. organizations. Now, this is your government. This is your administration and your elite intelligence agencies, and this is what they've done to secure the country. And remember, quantum computing is just starting. You ain't seen nothing yet. This is going to get much, much worse. If we're getting hacked now and we're not even into full quantum, get ready. So I guess they used a lot of different ways to do this, routing traffic through hacked internet-connected devices. They leased servers and commercial proxies that put them in close proximity to where they needed to get into. They used machines. They located machines geographically so that they could do the intrusions with legitimate users. So they made it look like it was coming in from legitimate areas. I guess one Ohio medical center targeted in August of 2020 sent a complaint to the hosting provider that read, "Attacking healthcare in a pandemic is just wrong."
You know what's wrong?
What's wrong?
Is not implementing Solom Global's digital wallet on the blockchain and their technology. You won't have these issues.
Well, there's no doubt
about that?
Solom Global solution for Medicare and Medicaid in the healthcare industry could be straightened out instantly just by getting a hold of them. But of course, I don't know what the administration's doing. They don't seem to be making the moves. There are lots of people around aren't. And you saw Donald Trump pass, and it was probably based on this. You saw the recent executive order where he authorized U.S. civilian companies to assist in the hacking of foreign adversaries. I believe that was triggered, just to make the connection for you guys, from this. As Donald Trump realized this was a civil organization that was selling hacked data to the Chinese government and thought, well, why don't we have U.S. companies doing the same thing?
I don't know why, because our NSA can just do it easily with their supercomputers and stuff they have and the capabilities. We know that.
You know, George, I'm going to argue to differ just a little bit. I do believe that civilian companies sometimes have a higher level of skill, because I don't believe that the NSA or any of our intelligence organizations are the ultimate when it comes to it. There might have been a time they were. I think that right now, government agencies in general, anytime we come to the conclusion that they're better at something, I don't know, George, don't you feel like a lot of our government organizations,
the capabilities of their supercomputer that they have, no one really has. Not your hackers and stuff.
Would you?
I mean, go back to
hold
on. Go back to Snowden. Back then, how many years ago? That's how many years ago. Now you add all these years,
George, that somebody like Elon Musk might not have computing power equal or better than the U.S. government?
I don't know if he has it yet. He might.
I think there are groups. I would argue that maybe even groups, as much as I don't like them, even Meta might have computing power, that Google has computing power, that Oracle has computing power, that Microsoft has computing power, and that Elon Musk has computing power that might rival our U.S. government. And there's no doubt that their work in AI might put them at the top pinnacle. I mean, Elon Musk's new Grok bot, where he's now making available a version of Agent Swarm in his new LLM Grok bot, which a lot of people are raving about. I haven't used it yet. I'm going to take some classes over the weekend that I've saved. One's a 2-hour class that I want to watch because I don't know enough about Grokbot, but I do know that it's using Agent Swarm for the first time and it's made publicly available. I wonder if maybe our intelligence agencies have fallen behind a little bit. I'm not saying, George, they've got an incredible budget. I agree with a lot of what you're saying in some ways, but I also wonder when you look at the ability, look at what Elon Musk did. He walked into Washington, D.C., and in no time at all, DOJ identified all this theft and the rest of it. But yet our intelligence agencies, maybe they didn't want to see it, but they never told us about any of it. They didn't tell us about the 14 magic money computers or the theft in USAID or all the missing money, right?
All right, I gotta stand.
Some guy in the front row.
I gotta stand corrected and apologize because you're right. I was wrong. There are some major private tech companies that have supercomputing and data processing capabilities that match or even exceed some government intelligence agencies like the NSA. However, here's why I go. But these people that these hacker groups, do they have access to that? They will need that if they're going to start doing.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I'd love to see them have access to the U.S. budget. I agree with you. George, I just think sometimes that independent civilian companies don't have all the scam and skullduggery of the U.S. government. I know they tell us one thing, but they deliver on another. So I appreciate you going ahead and acknowledging that. And that's why you're here, guys. As you can see, George Ballantine, we're the first ones to call ourselves out. If we make a mistake, you've heard me do it before where George is right about something. I go, yeah, I stand corrected. That is correct what George just said. So I think the point is that's what it's about. That's why we're here. If you have any comments in the chat, get in there. Don't be shy. I don't want shy people here. We want outspoken, common sense thinkers. That's what we're looking for on this show on both sides of the aisle. I want everybody here because, again, I think we have to protect each other and our families. I don't know that this government can be trusted no matter who's in charge. There's a lot of nefarious actors in there. I'm not calling Donald Trump a nefarious actor. I'm saying there are a lot of nefarious actors in D.C., and I'd like to see them hung out to dry, but so far we haven't seen that. Let's play the clip, George.
Let's.
Justice Department says it has shut down a key element of a Chinese state-sponsored hacking group. Court documents say that China-based group QTFY used sophisticated hacking tools to target NASA, the Federal Reserve, the Department of Energy, and other critical infrastructure networks. But now, U.S. authorities are cracking down. Here to talk about it this morning for us is the Attorney General of the United States, Todd Blanche. He's the man in charge of this operation to shut it down. Mr. Attorney General, great to see you. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Good to be here.
Was reading through your release on this. So this Chinese-sponsored group, QTFY, you guys discovered they had done malicious hacks against a bunch of U.S. government agencies, NASA, Federal Reserve, DOJ, the U.S. Senate. You're seizing some of their domains and servers. Do you guys have any idea what were these hackers looking for? What were they trying to get?
Well, yes. I mean, they were trying to infiltrate not only some of our key infrastructure, like you just described, but hospital systems and healthcare centers. And this is something that's been happening for many years. And in this case, this was sponsored. This is state-sponsored, and this is a major national security issue for the United States. And so the work that we did over the past several months, bringing this to a stop, is something that the FBI and our great prosecutors in California have worked very hard on. The big part of this that I want people to understand is we not only stopped this, but we have shared with the private sector the way that they were doing this, the way that these hackers were getting access and their codes. And so the goal there is to motivate and to use some of the really smart people here in the private sector to stop it from happening again. It's not as if by us doing this that they're going to walk away and not try again. They're going to reload and try to come at us again. And so this is a fight that we're going to continue to have. But this is a great job done by the FBI and National Security Division here at Main Justice and then the Southern District of California U.S. Attorney's Office.
Would you like to see President Trump bring this up with President Xi when he's here in 4 weeks?
Well, look, this is something that we have talked about with our counterparts in China for many, many years. And we know that it's happening. And they know that we know that it's happening, and it has to stop. And so I'm not going to tell President Trump what he needs to talk to the leadership about in China, but I will tell you this, that not only are we using the FBI and the federal government, but we are now empowering the private sector to help us identify the hacking techniques. And then when we identify them, to stop them, and then to share those techniques with everybody else so that we know when it's coming and how to stop it.
What kind of digital fingerprints get left behind to the point where you guys are confident that it was China who was doing this?
Well, we know there were 2 platforms, and there's a lot of work that we did behind the scenes to understand this was a paid service where hackers could actually access the service, and so it was available to a lot of bad actors out there, not just China. But at the end of the day, we know from our investigation this was state-sponsored by China, and they're a big part of the problem, at least where it comes to this to what we saw here. And that's why we went to the court. We got court-authorized warrants that allowed us to more or less redirect the servers and then shut them down.
I mean, why would you need warrants to shut these servers and those things down? They're shut them down. I don't understand why they need warrants. It's a foreign country, a foreign adversary using hacking into government agencies. How can you need a warrant to shut it down for? I don't know. You know why?
Did you hear the inference he made there about how they shared this with civilian entities? So that pretty much clears up. Everybody wondered why Trump passed that executive order, because they probably had to have that executive order in place to share this information with the private sector, because of course we're talking about national security interests, we're talking about national security issues. So that executive order was done because of this. And of course, I think what they're not saying is that they're also looking for ways that if China isn't going to stop this behavior, and I do believe that Donald Trump, he's one of those guys that he will say to Xi Jinping, and he'll probably have the information right in front of him. By the way, here's your packet on the hacking groups you guys have been working with and buying from. Unless you want us to start doing this, I recommend you stop. And because we can do it too. We've now authorized our private sector through my executive order to do the same thing to you guys if we're not going to put an end to this. If you're going to continue with this behavior, then just count on the fact that we're going to weaponize our private sector against you additionally, and we'll be state sponsoring our own attacks. I have a feeling that Donald Trump will do that. He's that kind of guy. I think he's kind of a no bullshit guy when it comes to things like this. So I would expect.
I don't know. You know what? I'm going to disagree with you on that, because when it came to the 2020 election with China being involved, and he says, "Oh, that was a while ago. They learned their lesson now." Remember what he said on that?
He did.
Okay.
I agree.
I'm just
That's a
saying.
good point. I think it's a valid point. I think we'll have to just wait and see. We'll see where this goes. But of course, this is incredibly dangerous for the country and the American people, our safety and security. So I can't imagine what kind of information they got out of the Department of Energy. We've already talked about how vulnerable our infrastructure is. We've got a story that maybe we'll have time to cover today about the electrical power grid and how vulnerable it really is. All right, so I don't even know how to react to this, George. This is such a bunch of crap.
Yeah, so there's a timeline to this. We're talking about Pennsylvania Governor Shapiro and this alleged measles deaths, but we're going to go through the timeline. And why he's doing this, I'm going to tell you why. He did maybe it was last week, did a presser, and he was talking about the vaccines and why, they want to, keep more vaccines on their list. That's because he's actively promoted multi-billion-dollar pharmaceutical investments in Pennsylvania. He was telling, we need the jobs and this and that. Because you have here, like Eli and Company, they announced a $3.5 billion investment to build manufacturing in Lehigh County. Johnson & Johnson.
Eli Lilly, George, is that right?
Yeah. Johnson & Johnson, $1 billion investment in Montgomery County. Scott Pharma, $60 million expansion in Lebanon County, and there's others. So he's looking at money over people's health and using fear mongering. Because this is crazy. He went on with state officials pushing this fake measles death narrative. I think it was in Lancaster County. And now these officials refuse to cooperate as county coroner confirms 0 deaths from measles. So I'm just going to play the first clip of when he says this, take you guys through this. Because you can hear it from the horse's mouth. We don't make shit up.
The Department of Health announced the first 2 measles-associated deaths in Pennsylvania in 35 years. Both of the individuals were from Lancaster County, and both were unvaccinated.
Notice how he throws that dig, and both were unvaccinated. Well, now we have Kennedy, Kennedy's been working hard. And Lance, we always say this, like, you don't see as much like what Maha's trying to get accomplished because there's always fighting and pushback, but they're battling. And Kennedy's talking about, that he can't find any narrative on these measles deaths. They can't find any information, and not from the Lancaster County Commissioner. And by law, if someone dies of like a disease like that, it has to be reported to the county commissioner. This way, I think they can then forward to the CDC so they can, keep tabs on all this. But none of that's been done. Gee, I wonder why. So how are you figuring out these deaths? Meanwhile, he already put the narrative out there, but here we are fighting against it to expose these scumbags. Because all they think about is money. They don't care about us. I want to play the JFK thing.
We're trying to get information about those 2 casualties. According to a statement that was released by the Lancaster County Commissioner today, they cannot find any measles deaths in Lancaster County. And they complain that the governor will not give them that information. CDC tried to get that information from the governor yesterday, and the state is refusing to cooperate. We're doing a better job than any country in the world at controlling the measles outbreak. This is a worldwide epidemic, and it's happening because of the lockdowns, because many kids did not get vaccinated during the lockdowns. And then you had a dramatic diminishment of public faith in the regulatory agencies during the COVID period because of government overreaching, because of the gaslighting and the manipulation. So, and even in my discussion with Governor Shapiro yesterday, when he said to me, well, we've seen this big drop in vaccination rates in the state from 97 to 92.3, he admitted on the phone that it all happened during the Biden administration. Since I've been in office, since President Trump's been in office, there's been a 0.1% diminishment. We are actually restoring faith in the public health agencies, so people will take our advice. And our advice is that people should get the measles vaccination. There are certain communities and certain religious communities that won't do that, and we want to take care of those kids as well. So, Mexico has 11 times the amount of measles cases as we do. Canada has 4 times the amount of measles cases. Britain has 2 times. We've done it every place there's been a measles outbreak. I've sent the CDC in to cooperate with the state health agencies, and we've brought it to an end overnight. And the only state that won't cooperate with us is Pennsylvania, and we can't get any information. The press is all covering this as if those measles deaths actually happen, but nobody's doing the little bit of critical inquiry to find out. We're trying to figure out whether, who those deaths were and whether they actually happened, and we can't figure that out yet.
Yep. Well, still don't believe it? We had the whole meeting with the Lancaster County Commissioner, Josh Pearson, and he said he spoke with the coroner himself, and they have 0 cases of measles deaths. Now, I did say they had 1 patient who did die. That patient had measles, but that was not the cause of death. So, okay. Now, should the Governor Shapiro be penalized somehow for this?
Here's my take.
He should go on TV and clarify.
I think whenever an elected official pushes a false narrative, which is a nice way of saying a lie, the politician should be pursued criminally. I think that anytime a political official lies and is caught in the lie, especially in a case like this, I think there should be criminal charges. I don't think the speech and debate clause, in my opinion, should allow politicians or even not having the speech and debate clause in states. If a politician gets caught directly in a lie, and if it's proven, and if it's authenticated, then I think it should be instant criminal indictments. I think there should be statutes in every state and by the federal government that when politicians lie to the American people, like they did about the COVID pandemic, like they did about the Russian collusion hoax, like they do so often in Congress when they give out false statistics, false numbers, fake polls, I say charge them criminally. Let me know in the audience what you guys think. I'm tired of these jackasses doing this to the American public because they're in a position of authority. And of course, there are many people, not the people that watch this show, that just take what they say at face value because, oh, why would the senators lie? Why would the congressman lie? Why would the FBI lie? I think as a government employee, state or federal or county, if you get caught in a lie, do not pass go, do not collect $200, go directly to fucking jail and get a felony, and then don't be allowed to rerun for office ever again in your history. You're done. Can you imagine how much we could clean up if the lying just stopped? Tired of it. I don't like the false narratives. I don't like the lies to the American public. I think it's a disservice to this country, and I think these people are horrendous for ever participating in this kind of behavior when it comes to this country. All right, let's play the clip.
Okay.
The governor was in Lancaster County yesterday, came to Women's and Babies Hospital, LGH Penn Medicine Hospital, along with the Pennsylvania Department of Health and others. Commissioner Yoder was there and made an announcement that there was 2 individuals who died. I think the terminology was measles associated or something like that, deaths. But the underlying assertion in that was that they died from measles. That certainly was what was communicated in the press. We had many inquiries from the press. There was much interest locally and nationally, and also from members of the public, our constituents. And I think it was reported that these were the first measles deaths in the U.S. in 35 years. Alice can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's what was reported. So it was a big deal, and I think there is transparency owed around that. There was no information released about the 2 individuals other than that they were unvaccinated. And the law does allow for information to be released. It can be released without identifying the individuals, but providing some demographic background information, age, that sort of thing. So because of obviously there's a lot of interest in that. Obviously it sound like very tragic cases. I reached out to the coroner's office. Now, under the law, anyone who dies of a communicable disease in Lancaster County, that means measles in this case, that would have to be reported to the coroner's office. And I spoke at length yesterday with a senior member of the coroner staff and spoke at length this morning with the coroner himself, and they have 0 cases of measles death. They have 1 patient, and the coroner spoke about this in the press, but they had 1 patient who died with measles, not of measles. We don't know if the state is counting that patient as one or not, and we know nothing about the other. And so I reached out to LGH Penn Medicine yesterday and again this morning. I reached out to the governor's office. I've received no responses from any of them. Brian Pasquale, our director of public safety, just talked to him. He doesn't have any information. So I think that it is totally fair when a governor comes to the county and makes an announcement such as this, and there's huge media interest, to provide some transparency around this. And I think it is also, if we were in a functioning system, you would have many journalists, rather than just sort of repeating uncritically the line that there were 2 deaths from Lancaster County, they would ask for some corroborating information. And I'm open to of course, I'm open to the idea that this did in fact happen, and Perhaps someone, as the coroner has said, there's a possibility that someone contracted measles here and passed away outside the county, and it was reported to another county coroner. I think that's an unlikely probability. There's also some other unlikely possible scenarios. But if those are the cases, it's incumbent upon the people who had the press conference to relay that information. It is obviously a huge story. It's a big deal. You don't get to just say that this happened and then everything else around it is top secret. You need to articulate enough details for people to know, and then for us to be able to communicate with our constituents, and for people to be able to make decisions based on that information.
What say you there, Governor Shapiro? I'm curious to see what his rebuttal to this is. I mean, this is the problem. You don't have any of these media going out there questioning him. Microphones in his face, just like they used to. Try to get the real story. But instead, they'd rather just go with the narrative. Oh, journalism over there.
Well, we do have some good news.
Well, for now.
SCOTUS just cleared the way for Trump's mail-in ballot security rules. Looks like the Postmaster General will be able to follow through also. Here's the plan. DHS is going to build a state citizenship list. States must hand the Postal Service their mail ballot voter lists. No list equal no ballots delivered. So right now, just to make it clear, 8 states plus DC run fully by mail. What a horse bunch of shit that is. Another 29 let anyone request a ballot with zero excuse. Shame on those 29 states for that bullshit. That's 37 states plus the District of Columbia handing out unrestricted mail-in ballots. What a bunch of lowlifes. 30% of the 2024 vote came by mail. And that's triple what it was in 2004. You explain to me how that happened. Midterms are 70 days out, and early voting is going to start even sooner. The clock's ticking. This is going to be hard to implement this quickly, George, isn't it? I mean, there's a lot to get done here in a very short period of time.
Well, it seems like a lot, yeah. And why do you think the Democrats are been trying to stall this? And, what are we at, less than 70 days out from midterms?
Yeah.
Early voting is going to start soon. But they shouldn't be getting any ballots, though, if they're not verifying their stuff with because the post office shouldn't be mailing them out.
I would assume that all these states are now going to comply. They don't really have a choice, in my opinion.
You assume. Hold on, let's play this clip and let's go down this timeline.
Yeah.
There's timelines for a reason.
You know where I was going with that.
Yeah, I know, because you remember, the last few days we've been covering this with the judges, rogue judges, but let's do this clip. Yeah.
Dallas, the first ever Republican midterm convention will be here next month. And one of the issues that's sure to come up, mail-in ballots. The Supreme Court of the United States has allowed the Trump administration to move forward with plans that would restrict mail-in voting as those midterm elections near. Now, here's how the president's plan will work. First, the Department of Homeland Security creates a state citizenship list, which is then sent to the states ahead of the federal elections. States would then provide the Postal Service with mailer ballot voter lists, but the post office will not deliver ballots from any state that does not comply. Now, here's how we stand today. 8 states and Washington, D.C. allow all elections to be conducted entirely by mail. That means all eligible voters receive a mail-in ballot by default. In addition, 29 other states offer no excuse absentee voting, which means that any voter can cast, request, and receive a mail-in ballot, no explanation necessary. So that's a total of 37 states and the District of Columbia that allow voters to vote by ballot with no restrictions. Now, that's meant the explosion of mail-in voting. Right now, it comprises about 30% of the turnout that was in 2024. And while that's down from 43% in 2020, it's way, way higher than it was before the pandemic. Just 20 years earlier, in 2004, only 11% were voting by mail, with a little more than 2 months now until Election Day, and even less time until early voting begins. It's unclear if Trump's new plan will be in effect for the midterms. But none of that stopped a divided Supreme Court from clearing the plan. Justice Clarence Thomas was of the majority opinion. He is also of the opinion that diversity should not get in the way of diversity of thought.
I really didn't like people saying, you have to do this, you have to do that. We had this saying that there are only two things I have to do, stay black and die. The difficulty has been that they said, that, oh, you're confused. Well, I'm not confused, you're confused. You confuse me with someone who's been in indentured servitude or something. They think that here's the way you're supposed to think. Again, here's your skin color. There's this kind of deterministic view that you're supposed to think this because we say so. And I, of course, declined that invitation.
In a fascinating, wide-ranging sit-down with Texas Republican Senator Ted.
And just to put more of what Justice Clarence was saying, like diversity of thought, what Lance and I were talking about in the beginning, where if you don't agree with Trump, you're all this stuff, and right there, no diversity of thought, man, diversify yourselves. So
yeah, don't ever blindly follow anybody because you'll get led down the primrose path. And Justice Clarence Thomas, you got to give him credit, right? Because he's just one of those guys that I think really is a constitutionalist. He really does study the law. He is, in my opinion, the top justice, not because he agrees with it often, but he sees the law for what it is. He doesn't just try to weaponize it politically. He puts his robe on at the door and he leaves his bias there, which you got to give him credit.
You want to know something? You want to know something? I just thought of this.
Yeah.
If there was to be, let's say, one of the SCOTUS judges retiring and Trump was to pick a judge, he should go to Justice Clarence Thomas and ask him, say, who do you think would be a good justice?
Yeah.
I bet you he would know somebody that's good that, rules by the Constitution. Because not like Judge Indira Tawani. She was mad.
She got a crotch kick right here.
She was mad as hell. She was forced to lift her nationwide injunction blocking Trump's mail-in ballot safeguards after the Supreme Court rebuked her, and now she wanted the rules. Both sides put the rules and both agreed on them, but she ruled against. This is definitely against what she wanted to do.
Can we fire this bitch? Can we fire her now? I mean, I don't like lifetime appointments. This is not somebody. This is an Obama-appointed activist, Boston activist judge that literally sucks. And she just got rebuked by the Supreme Court. That should be enough to be able to fire that bitch. But why is she going to be left in her position?
You want to know
that's
something?
The problem with the system.
Hold on, but this radical judge, threw in a dig, and I'm going to go like this. She conceded that after Trump versus California, the League of Women Voters plaintiffs are not likely to prevail as to ripeness, and then she says this. Unless they rewrite their complaint now that the Postal Service has issued a final rule. So what she's basically saying, if you rewrite your complaint another way, bring it to me, I'll put some kind of injunction on it. Even though she probably, it's against the law and everything, but she's still doing it.
Fire this bitch now. She doesn't belong in there. She's biased. And here she is giving sua sponte. She's trying to advise the League of Women Voters, the Trump versus California case. She's trying to advise them to rewrite the complaint in a different way so she can try to weaponize again. That's not what a justice does. When the Supreme Court brings back a ruling, of course, that's precedent. That's the highest court in the land. Here she is trying to manipulate the system. Can somebody fire this bitch? I mean, seriously, why do we need somebody like this in here? And it's not because of what she's trying to do. It's the way she's trying to manipulate the legal system in some way to orchestrate a coup. I don't like it. I don't like her. I don't think this is what we want in our judiciary. And I would be saying this even if a conservative did something in the opposite direction that didn't go along with the law. Supreme Court ruled, stop fucking playing games, Tawani. As a matter of fact, you ought to resign. You ought to be embarrassed about what a shitty-ass federal judge you are. You fucking suck. Okay?
You know who else sucks? This Arizona Democrat AG, Chris Mays, she was doing a presser after this. And she, of course, is announcing a lawsuit challenging President Trump's executive order to limit mail-in ballots. She's getting a bunch of states. And I quote, she goes, over my dead body, is that rule going to go into effect? Well, careful what you wish for, I'm going to say. Never know. Just never know.
Supreme Court just ruled, and here's some piss ass, nobody, Arizona AG, Chris Mays, and here she is basically trying to orchestrate something that the Supreme Court just said you can't do. It's a legitimate order. She just wants a bunch of illegal voters because maybe she needs to have a bunch of people get elected so she can stay in power. This is the kind of thing that should be stopped. When you violate the laws of the United States, when you go against the Supreme Court in this manner, I'd like to see some arrests. There's got to be a case we can put against her.
Here's the thing, right? So now we're getting down to the wire, giving enough time for the states and government to implement all this stuff and look over the voter rolls. They're going to take this to some liberal judge. This liberal judge is going to side with them, put an injunction. Now, the Trump administration is going to have to do an emergency response, probably take it to SCOTUS or wherever, try to get this temporary overturned period. But in the meantime, it could screw everything up. That's the issue at hand, which it shouldn't. But these liberal justices, they just do what they want. They know what they're doing, these people. They're not stupid. Why do you think they're waiting to the last minute to do this? But I don't know.
Trying to drag out the time clock to make it impossible to implement what's necessary, which, of course, to me, means National Emergency Act. If it can't be implemented in time, then it might just be time to shut
What I say is if a liberal judge does rule against it, sides in their favor, I think the administration should just continue doing what they're doing until they get a hearing from the SCOTUS again. And don't let them sabotage it.
On them. But the Department of
No, hold on. Let me play the clip, Lance. Don't go. You're jumping the gun, bro. It's in order.
This election, and if it does, do you have any sense of how many Arizonans might not get early ballots delivered?
Well, what I would say is, over my dead body is that rule going to go into effect. We are going to fight this tooth and nail in the courts, and I've got the best Solicitor General in the country standing right there, who is going to make sure, along with the other attorneys general who are fighting this case. I think 25 states signed on to this lawsuit this morning.
25 states.
You ever think about these titles, George? Attorney General, Solicitor General. You ever think they gave themselves these titles to make it seem like they're credible and they're relevant and they matter? Fuck you and your general titles. I'm tired of this shit. I'm tired of government officials giving themselves these titles where somehow they're supposed to be a higher level of person. That somehow they've got demigod status. Here's a woman arguing that she's going to do whatever is necessary regardless of what the Supreme Court just did. And this is the problem with our system. Somebody needs to put a case on this bitch. Enough's enough. I'm just tired of this. DHS is making moves. Of course, Secretary Mullen, I like him. I think he's been doing the job the way it's supposed to be. It will be requiring mandatory random audits of paper ballots during the 2026 midterm elections because of major foreign vulnerabilities of tampering. Of course, we've talked about the Chinese involvement in machines, foreign interference in the machines. George has brought it up so many times about the machines. Mullen says voting machines with components manufactured by foreign adversaries introduce significant security risks. Yeah, they do. You can hack them with a ballpoint pen. It means that malicious actors could potentially compromise election infrastructure. What do you mean could? You mean will compromise election infrastructure? Listen, the machines are assembled, they're deployed, people are doing things. They're on the internet. They weren't supposed to be on there either. And George he's been probably one of the biggest advocates about that the machines can't be trusted because you can buy a hacking tool on eBay, on Amazon, stick it into a printer that's on the network. George, even in his own election, said, well, I see you've got a bunch of Wi-Fi hubs here. What's going on? I thought we weren't supposed to be on the internet.
Yep.
He did it in his own election. Let's play the clip.
With Secretary Lutnick, we are going to make our security enhancements mandatory, meaning that if these states want to grant and they want to be reimbursed to work or to run federal elections, they're going to have to implement security issues. Just security issues. We're not trying to get into anything else, but we're saying that the machines have to be secured and that your voter registration list needs to be scrubbed. We need to make sure that individuals that are legally able to vote are voting. We know that Iran hacked our state voter files and attempted to compromise, is the best word I can use, our systems where military members used to vote. So we're working with Secretary Hegseth and the DOW to safeguard those systems and protect our military voters.
Let's see, a lot of stuff going through. You know, I could see if somehow if the Arizona AG and the other AGs are successful, I can see what Lance has been saying about suspending our elections, Trump doing that. I could definitely see that. I want to bring something up. Just something else just popped up. We all know, you know, hearts and prayers. Dolly Parton passed away Tuesday. Yesterday, actor Tim Curry passed away. He was 80 years old. He was funny. He was a cool actor. I liked him. But now, this morning, Peter Cullen, he's the legendary voice of Optimus Prime and Io or whatever. He died at the age of 85. They're dropping. Eeyore? Is that how you say it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's from Winnie the Pooh. It's the donkey from Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah, he passed away this morning at 85. But
well, you get into the 80s, you know, your time here is short. You've got to make a difference. That's what we try to do on the show. But man, mental health crisis.
That shit crazy.
More evident in the Democrat socialist candidates, but this is some crazy ass mofo here.
That shit crazy.
This is I guess Nikila. I don't even know where the hell that name came from. Nikila Jasmine Thomas seems to be losing it. She's losing the plot here. I don't know what to think of this. Is this going to be what we're going to see coming out of the Democratic Socialists?
I don't know. She's a Democrat socialist. She just won the U.S. Senate primary for the state of Oklahoma.
Huh.
Look how batshit crazy she is. This
is our brightest and best right here. This is what you get when you get installed politicians. Go ahead.
Batshit crazy.
Mark Wayne Mullen is a terrible senator. Do not vote for him. He is a Christian nationalist, a mediocre white man.
Man, I'm telling you.
You know, what jackass filmed that video and said, yeah, this is a great idea. Let's do this.
I
don't even know. I mean, is that a campaign manager? Is that her husband, boyfriend? And how could you live with this loony ass bitch? I mean, this is some psychotic shit.
Is that some witchery she's doing? Some black magic?
What the fuck? Wicca magic, maybe. I don't know. Some black magic. I don't know what she's up to, but that is not our brightest and best. I'm looking for our brightest and best in art. And I know we don't have that, but that's what I'd like to have. And this is not. This is just, I mean, I don't even think, forget about the D for a minute. Forget about the Democrat title. Do we even want socialists anywhere near our government? And on top of it, crazy ass mofos. Do we need any more crazy? I mean, we got the one congressional member with the purple hair. That's a crazy one. I mean, you see the craziness in this.
AOC.
Can you imagine if she was in, what she would be up to? She'd probably become a member.
You know, the squad is reaching out. I was just gonna say the squad's reaching out to her right now.
The squad just said,
we need her.
You know what else, George? We should call The View. This is a perfect person to put on The View.
Yep. Hassan Piker's probably calling her up. Oh my God, you did great.
You're amazing. You're incredible.
Yep.
Down with capitalism.
Well,
meanwhile, Hassan Piker's got a shitload of money. It seems like capitalism worked for him. All right.
Hold on.
What is going on here with this?
Okay. So
what's going on with this?
The liberal media, the liberals, the Democrats are reeling because they're really upset because their narrative just got debunked. They can't run with this. You know, there was a black man hanging from a tree, and they all, you know how they want to run. But they want to blame who? White Christians, this and that, yada, yada, yada. Well, surveillance footage reveals a whole nother tale. That's right. Authorities in Roanoke Rapids, they responded to an attempted suicide report on August 21st and found Demetrius Fleming deceased, and they launched his death probe into his autopsy, pending. However, though, Police Chief Lawrence Wiggins stressed letting evidence decide amid public sensitivity to a black man found hanging. I mean, it's crazy for anybody to be found hanging. But he goes on to say, there's the video of him walking with I think it was an extension cord, whatever he used to hang himself, walking towards the tree and committing suicide. It just busted up the Democrats' narrative. Play the clip, Lance?
Yeah.
At 1:59 p.m., video shows the young man carrying an electrical cord walking towards the tree by himself. Between 2:06 p.m. and 2:07 p.m., video captures the actual incident taking place. No one else is seen in the area when this incident occurred. At 2:25 p.m., a witness who worked near the location reported seeing someone hanging in a tree to his supervisor.
I didn't see it. It stopped. Oops, sorry. Yeah. But
yep.
So you remember, Lance, the video we were showing yesterday of the Philadelphia DA saying he wants to blow up the new White House extension.
Yeah, the ballroom.
Ballroom and stuff. And he's saying, oh, we're going to blow it up. And we're going to each take a piece of it and use it as a paperweight.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you want to know why rhetoric like that and these crazy liberals believe it? Because you remember that Marine, his name is, what's his name? Janine John Taylor, who was
John Tail. I believe it's pronounced Tail.
Tail? Okay, Tail. He was a decorated Marine from Downey, California. He was arrested July 31st at Trump National Golf Club, Los Angeles, ahead of Trump's visit. Well, guess what? They found 208 pages of notebooks in his home sketching golf courses, listing agents, and copying Melania Trump's daily plans along with weapons and body armor. Granted, Trump's they got to worry about Trump. And you never hear so much about the kids or the first lady, but not with this administration, not with these crazy liberals and Dems. They want to go after anybody with the name Trump these days. And it doesn't help with people like the Philly DA saying, oh, we're going to blow up the White House.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't, man. It's crazy. Want to play it?
Yeah, let's do
it.
I
thought you were going to say something. Okay.
Just got a major update on the guy showed up at Trump's golf course with a gun. Chief Washington correspondent Mike Emanuel has the details. Mike.
Jesse, disturbing revelations from the notebooks of an armed suspect arrested at President Trump's Los Angeles golf course. Authorities say that includes the First Lady's schedule and hundreds of pages on Secret Service agents and sketches of the course. The suspect is Janine John Tail, 38 years old, a decorated Marine veteran from Downey, California. Tail appeared before Judge John Lonergan in Los Angeles today. Tail was wearing a suicide smock for the preliminary hearing. That's where prosecutors revealed new details about his arrest on July 31st. The judge calling the allegations against Tail, quote, alarming in this day and age with the violence that is creeping into our everyday lives, especially with the partisanship with the political climate. Prosecutors say Tail had several notebooks with 208 pages of drawings, lists of Secret Service schedules, details of individual security members, and copies of Melania Trump's schedule. He had also allegedly done research about, quote, going off the grid. Tail is charged in a federal criminal complaint with possession of an unregistered short-barreled rifle. That charge could earn him up to 10 years behind bars. He also faces a range of state charges as well. The rifle was recovered in a search of his home, along with a 9mm pistol, body armor, high-capacity magazines, radios, and a gold badge. After being detained for taking photos and video of security while wearing an earpiece ahead of President Trump's visit. The suspect pleading not guilty. He's being held on $250,000 bail as the FBI, Secret Service, and ATF still work to figure out his motive. Jesse?
Thanks for the update, Mike. Appreciate it.
Yep. Crazy, crazy liberals, man.
Now, there's lots of scams online. Some are worse than others. Some damage people. And I want to point out that this isn't just Indeed this is happening on. It's also happening on LinkedIn. As you guys know, Reid Hoffman owns it. Scammers are, so you have to be very cautious. Number one, they're trying to get your information. They can be very convincing. So Indeed is doing it. LinkedIn's got these issues. You might receive an online text message, an email. This is a new job scam that's taking place in America. It's wide ranging. So scammers are posting these fake jobs on platforms like Indeed. They're using real companies and they're conducting real webcam interviews. Once they hire you, and you may have to go through more than one interview to be convinced, they ask you for your personal information, your social security number, your bank information, residence, date of birth, all that sort of thing. And they send you a list of items you need to purchase for the new job. Things like cloud storage and software licenses. So it's very convincing. Well, here's a woman that fell for it. It's pretty crappy what happened to her. They provided all her information and her social security number. She gave them everything. The real company never posted a job on Indeed, so it was completely illegit from the beginning, and doesn't even have a United States office, this company. Well, this woman fell for it. She resigned from her old job, and now she can't get her old job back, and she's out of work. This is horrible, and you have to be extremely cautious. I see my mom. I don't know about you, George. My mom gets a lot of like, you know, oh, it's this company, or it's AT&T, or it's her phone company, and they're all trying to get her information. I told her, do not answer anything unless you spoke to me first. But, you know, she's 93. She hasn't done it so far, but she's constantly under attack. She's on a list. Maybe AARP or somebody's data got hacked. I don't know. But this is horrible, George.
My mother gets some of them texts or emails here and there, so she knows not to answer them. She always brings it to us.
How old is your mom, George?
She was born in 42, what, 83?
Okay, I was just curious. Go ahead.
Her birthday's coming up in November. All right, here we go.
Only on CBS News Chicago, a job offer that seemed almost too good to pass up. Remote work, good benefits, and $45 an hour. But for one Chicago area woman, that job offer turned out to be a sophisticated scam. Marissa Perlman's here now to talk about how this scam worked and also the warning this victim hopes that other job seekers hear before it is too late.
Yeah, that's right, Marie. She says that the scammers actually went as far as conducting a video interview, sending official-looking employment offers to her, and even at one point mailing her a personal check. She never actually lost money, thankfully, but she did leave her old job.
Like this one is an example.
Shade Fisher from Wheeling was looking for a new career after earning her MBA online and thought she'd found the perfect fit.
The job posting itself was basically for being an online content editor.
$45 an hour, remote, and great health benefits. The posting came through Indeed. What followed looked and sounded like a normal hiring process. First, a video interview.
It was with a real person as far as I could tell.
She made it to a second interview, but this time it was through an online chat.
The scammer, I've been generally impressed by the way you've approached my questions.
She got the job and was sent this employment letter, but then came the paperwork. She shared her social security number and her banking information.
The thing is, it looked very, very official. I wouldn't have done it unless it had looked official.
And then something else. The supposed employer told her she needed to buy equipment for the job.
An ergonomic chair, various types of software, data storage, that kind of thing.
That's when the warning signs became impossible to ignore.
Was that a red flag for you?
Oh, as red as a flag in China.
The scammers sent Fisher what turned out to be this fake check telling her to deposit it and use the money for the work equipment.
To get you set up quickly, we'll send funds via digital check for you.
But instead of depositing that check, she started investigating. She contacted the company based in Germany, and they made clear there was no American branch and no job. This was a scam.
Come on. If you're gonna at least make money on things, at least try to be legit.
Shade is grateful. She trusted her instincts, though the scammers now have her personal information. She went right to the bank and had to get new credit cards and bank accounts.
I'm having to monitor probably my credit for months over this.
And now she is out of work. She put in her 2 weeks at her longtime job at a car dealership, believing she was moving on to a new opportunity, and now can't get that job back.
Literally anybody can fall for it if it looks good enough.
So I know what we're all thinking, is this an India scam? Because that's most likely where it's coming from. And according to this, there's no evidence that this particular scam originated from India. However, if we go to the common patterns of scams of this type, where they ask you for your social security number, they give you a professional looking process, like they do the video interview with you, and then they ask you to buy items. These similar tactics appear to be originating from India, Nigeria, and elsewhere. So of course, those African countries, which is interesting because if there is a whole bunch of these scams taking place and they're posting these jobs on Indeed, I'm assuming LinkedIn as well, you would think these major platforms would have a way to catch it, especially since they're impersonating real companies. This company existed. It was in Germany. They didn't have an office or any jobs in America. Yet these supposed Indian or Nigerian scammers can post these job listings, go through all these processes, collect the social security number and bank accounts of Americans, and somehow there is no flags. You know, Indeed doesn't flag that, LinkedIn doesn't flag that, and it's just good to go. I think that maybe we should just create a process that kind of just filters out India, Nigeria, all these third world countries, mainly in the African region, from being able to use our platforms because they are just taking advantage in every way they can. It all just needs to end.
I don't know how they could weed that out because they could get VPNs and make them look like they're here in the States. That's the issue.
Yep.
Maybe
That's right.
maybe these companies like LinkedIn and Indeed need to verify the company's information that it's a real company or who they are. How they do that, it's on them.
All right. Well,
And
you
they
know the
hold them
drill.
liable.
If you love the show, if you're here for the first time, make sure you hit that follow button. Don't forget to follow us if you're on YouTube. Follow us over there. Follow us on Locals. Follow us on all major podcast platforms. On social media, on X, it's G Valentine, Lance Miliaccio, and The Big Mig Show. We could use follows on all those. And of course, on True Social, Gab Getter, Pickaxe, and many others. You can find us under Lance Miliaccio, The Big Mig Show, and George Valentine. You can see extra character everywhere else but on X. All right. We love you guys. We appreciate you. Rumble Rant tips always appreciated. $5 paid subscriptions always appreciated. You can gift those also. And of course, we always accept Rumble Rant tips. George, last words, bro.
It's Thirsty Thursday, right? Yeah. Okay, I'm thirsty for love. Y'all have a blessed day. See you guys tomorrow.
What if you could predict your financial future? And what if you could trade on it? Introducing Block Trust IRA, the future in your hands. An astonishing 88,000 millionaires were created last year from the Bitcoin boom, and you could be next. Block Trust IRA is the only crypto management firm powered by AI-driven strategies, ranked #1 in the world by Bitcoin Magazine. The Block Trust IRA platform is built for everyone, from first-time buyers to seasoned investors. Predictive AI technology that was once only reserved for insiders and elites is now available to you. It's time to leave the old buy and hold strategies behind. Your assets are protected with military-grade security, offline cold storage, and $200 million in insurance. Visit BlockTrustIRA.com to book your free consultation and ask how to claim up to $2,500 in deposit bonuses today. Bitcoin changed the game. AI changes the strategy.
In a world of uncertainty, be prepared with Silver Prepper Bars. your ultimate hedge against political instability and economic turmoil. Introducing the Silver Prepper Bar, crafted from 0.999 pure silver and proudly made in the USA. This tangible, divisible asset can come in handy even in the toughest of times. Portable, perforated, and easily tradable, the Silver Prepper Bar is your lifeline in times of crisis. When facing inflation, currency devaluation, and financial meltdown, Silver Prepper Bars provide peace of mind. Don't wait for disaster to strike. Secure your future today with the exclusive Silver Prepper Bar, the only silver bar on the market divisible into 3 different size pieces for maximum utility, all while fitting in your wallet. Don't leave your future to chance. Order your Silver Prepper Bars now at prepperbar.com. Silver Prepper Bars, ready for whatever tomorrow brings. Order now.
Forged through rigorous training and honed by the finest instructors on earth, these K9 units serve beside our nation's warriors as they fight to preserve what we cherish. When these warriors complete their duty, the Warrior Dog Foundation provides them with a home deserving of the service they've given us all. At our state-of-the-art kennels, they receive rehabilitation and care suitable for heroes, because that's what they are. Be a part of giving them a future today. Visit warriordogfoundation.org.